Welcome back, everybody. It's time for episode 20 of
20, baby.
Betting the W. All the way up to 20, man. We were really getting up there.
Yes, sir.
Almost legal. It's episode 20. And today is Friday, April 21st. And Syracuse lacrosse is undefeated no more. Last night, an absolute thriller in upstate New York.
There we go.
Number 5 BC walks in there, takes down previously unbeaten Syracuse, number 1 team in the country, and this was the last game of the season. So whoever scheduled this game, amazing job, amazing finish to the season. BC trailed by as many as 5 in the first quarter, or rather in the first half, and it just looked rough. Like, I was watching this game, I turned it off for a while because it just looked bad, but then they stormed all the way back. The Weeks sisters went back-to-back, tied it at 15. Syracuse took 16-15 lead. And then Cassidy Weeks got another to tie it up. And then McKenna Davis with less than a minute to play. Cold-blooded.
4 on the night.
And this is what BC lacrosse is made of. This is what kind of we've been expecting to see all year. They lost a lot of contributors last year. But they're back into form at the perfect time.
I memean, it's about time, guys. We've been on them all year. We are a BC Women's Lax podcast.
We in fact are.
7-game win streak. Let's go. Finally getting hot at the right time.
They're absolutely getting hot at the right time. They secured the 1 seed in the ACC, which is going to be huge because this tournament is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been missing brackets since March. I love bracketology. If you're looking for a good bracket, the ACC Women's Lax Tournament is the one you've been waiting for. There's juice everywhere. I would say almost every team on this bracket I would consider a good team.
Mm-hmm. Almost.
Pitt, not a good team. That's your bottom seed in the ACC. My squad, not that good. That's all right, guys. We'll come around to it eventually, but this is the best league in the country, and it shows. Duke is your 9 seed. And I know that I am biased towards Duke because I have a friend who plays for Duke. But they were ranked earlier this season. They have some big wins. They are still a force nationally.
Yeah.
And I think potentially they would have to get lucky a few times, but they could win this conference tournament. I think it's wide open.
I think that Duke, if they could get past Louisville, I think Duke BC is the game to watch.
That's a huge game. Just in the first round, we were potentially going to get Duke BC or Louisville BC. Mm-hmm. We're going to get UNC Clemson, which is
also a big one.
In this bracket, a 3-4 matchup. I think nationally it's a top 10 matchup, like 2 of the best in the country. You've obviously got Syracuse falling to 2. They've been the number 1 all season long in the country. UVA is in there. Notre Dame is your 5 seed. That's a nationally ranked team as your 5 seed. So just top to bottom, an incredible bracket. Could I do a little bracketology for us now? Let me pull it up. Let's see. I just love making picks. I should have had the bracket pulled up ahead of time because here we go. Okay, now I got it.
All right, you got it?
Yeah, so this is the ultimate, playoff tournament to watch. This is the conference tournament to watch. So, in the 8-9, I got to roll with Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Taking Duke to advance the quarters.
Okay, I like that.
It's pretty inconsequential because whoever wins this second play-in is just going to lose to Syracuse anyway. So, let's go with the Panthers. Let's go with my Pittsburgh Panthers to upset Virginia Tech in the play-ins. And then I'm going to take BC over Duke. Give me Notre Dame beating Virginia in a tight one. Give me Syracuse beating Pitt easily.
Tight one?
Maybe. Maybe, if we get lucky. And then North Carolina, Clemson, tough pick. Clemson in their first year has been incredible.
Yeah.
Give me UNC here. And then BC Notre Dame, we just had this matchup. It was electric. Give me BC again. Syracuse, North Carolina, I think UNC in the postseason is just a different team. So give me the Heels here. And then I got to go with Boston. I got to roll with Boston. Give me the Eagles to win the ACC.
Go Birds.
Got to roll with the Eagles. this is going to be an incredible postseason tournament, regardless of how it shakes out.
Yeah, I agree. I'll touch on my bracketology a little later.
I like that. I like a little Damon getting into the lax, getting into the thick of it.
The one thing I really have my eyes on, that Ally women's basketball court for the ACC tournament was the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
So weird.
So I'll be locked in on that field.
I wonder how they're gonna customize it. Ally always takes their liberties with the playing surface. So that's the tournament to watch coming up next week. This weekend, the regular season is still finishing up. All the ACC teams are done. The Big Ten has 3 games left this weekend. And the game of the weekend in all of women's lax is Maryland Northwestern. This is the matchup of currently 2 and 5. And Northwestern is hot. Northwestern is as hot as could be. We talk about BC getting hot. Northwestern has won every game since dropping the season opener to Syracuse. So outside of the team that's currently number 1, they have not lost a single game. But Maryland is also a excellent program, just compete every year at a high level. They only have 1 loss in conference play, so this matchup will determine the 1 seed there, similar to a BC Syracuse where the head-to-head really matters there. Northwestern has the Tewarton favorite, Izzy Skane. They dropped the top 25 candidates for the Player of the Year award. I think it's going to be easily Izzy Skane. She is just out of this world.
Yeah.
Hat trick in every single game. Every single game. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how I missed this. She had 10 goals against Notre Dame.
What?
Most players go their entire career without getting 10 points, goals and assists combined. She put the ball in the net 10 times. I've never seen that. Men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, any division, I've never seen that. She is just a scorer. She's lethal.
Yeah, something I saw, she has more goals than anyone, by a lot.
By a lot.
She also has played less games than pretty much anyone else in the top 5.
Yeah.
So
she's incredibly efficient.
Pretty good.
When she's on the field, she's going to score. So this is going to be a tough matchup for Maryland for sure. And also Maryland, I want to see how they bounce back because they're coming off a weird loss to a good Penn State team. Penn State's good, but Maryland shouldn't have lost to them. There's a common thread in almost all of Maryland's losses. They have 4 losses. In 3 of them, they scored exactly 7 goals. They scored 7 against Penn State. They lost to James Madison and one other that I'm forgetting by exactly 8-7. Maybe they lost to Florida, I think, exactly 8-7. And then their other loss was to Syracuse. So my game plan for Maryland here to win this game, don't score 7 goals.
Genius.
Score more, score fewer, win 6-5, but probably score a lot of goals. If you're gonna want to beat Northwestern, somebody tells me Izzy Skane might have 7 on her own. So go out there, score often, score early, touch on that Northwestern goalie. Do not score 7 points. Score more than that.
It becomes a numbers game at some point where you just gotta shoot the ball more.
You just gotta shoot the ball a lot. Lacrosse is one of those sports where, and I don't know how much our viewers or you watch of lacrosse, but in lacrosse, when you shoot and you miss and it goes out of bounds, if your teammate is the closest to the ball when it went out of bounds, you get the ball back. So my thing with lacrosse is like, get a good shot, but just rip the ball.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing a good team like Northwestern, if you're playing a Syracuse or a BC, you're going to need to score a lot, so shoot a lot. Wear down that goalie.
Exactly.
Put him on target.
And there's so much chaos in lacrosse, like around there. So if you just get it in there, I like your odds.
Right.
And that's something Northwestern does so well is they just get so many shots on the goal.
They shoot a lot. So this is the game of the weekend. Keep an eye on this. Don't sleep on this tournament bracket either.
Yeah.
I feel like my prediction. Well, we'll definitely see how tomorrow's game goes, but right now I'm feeling like Northwestern's going to kind of walk through.
Yeah.
But the 2 through 5 seeds can play too. They've all been ranked at some point this season. Northwestern has to deal with Maryland. They got to deal with Hopkins, Michigan, Ohio State. They're good teams, top to bottom.
Those are powerhouse programs.
Exactly. So you've been the best team thus far, but these are programs that have been here before and know what to do. So Northwestern is not going to have an easy path. And this Big Ten tournament is going to be one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
For sure. And then the tournament, the national tournament, it's a big field. There are 42 teams that make it. There are going to be a lot of one-bid leagues. The Patriot, the Colonial, they all have one team that's really stood out.
Yeah.
You can kind of predict where the at-larges are going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, no, the auto bids are going to come from. The at-larges, I think we're going to see a lot of these two leagues. A lot of the ACC, probably most of the bracket. Like I said, Duke is 9. I don't exactly know how the selection works, but I think that could be a tournament team.
Yes.
And the Big Ten has tournament teams too.
Yeah, so I mean, we like the Big Ten, we like the ACC.
Love
But
them.
Max, outside of those two conferences, who's the team we're watching?
Outside of the major conferences, outside of those two, I'm going to roll with James Madison.
Okay.
Out of the American Conference. They do play in the American, so their schedule isn't the strongest. They haven't played a ton of ranked teams of late, but their only loss was their opener to UNC, who was number 1 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they've pretty easily taken care of UConn, Maryland, Hopkins, Florida, Virginia, among others. Those teams were all ranked when they played them. So keep an eye on James Madison. They're a top 10 team in the country, and they're legit. You might look at that squad and say, we might look at the name and the conference and the teams they play against and say, I don't know. Look at their out-of-conference schedule. The fact that they've only lost one game against this lineup is it's a strong testament to their resume.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a question now.
Let's go.
I should have asked this earlier when we were talking Qs. There is one undefeated team remaining. Do you know who that is? If you didn't look it up specifically, I would not expect you to know.
I did not look it up. I do not know.
I didn't know it until yesterday. The University of Denver
Okay.
is 15-0 on the season. UD plays, and you're never going to guess the conference that they play in either. They play in the Big East. Noted Eastern Seaboard metropolis of Denver. They have been playing against a Big East schedule, which I think just has to be even tougher.
That's hilarious.
You got to fly to Connecticut. You got to fly to Milwaukee. You are all the way out in Colorado. So they are going to be far from home in the Big East tournament in stores. But they're undefeated. They have not lost, and they play a good schedule too. They play a strong out-of-conference schedule. So don't sleep on Denver. If you're wondering if that's a legit 15-0, it's definitely a legit 15-0.
And they're all jet lagged every game.
Exactly. They're coming off that plane. That's a long plane ride. But those other teams, when they come to Denver, oh my gosh. You got to fly from Connecticut into the high altitude, run around for a few hours.
Good luck.
Denver is your West Coast team to watch for sure. And then, so lacrosse is getting to the end right now. We're getting to the exciting part. Softball's kind of on the back burner, but hold your softball stock because things are about to get really good. Softball plays a lot of games. Lacrosse games feel more important because there's 15 of them, and every game matters. Softball plays a lot of games. But we are starting to figure out who are the contenders and who are the pretenders. If I had to give you an example, I would say the contender is definitely Tennessee. Tennessee is up to the 3 spot in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They really good pitching. Ashley Rogers is their ace.
Yeah.
Love her. Kiki Mawa is one of the best hitters in the country. Power, average, everything. So Tennessee has players all over the board. Strong candidate to win the SEC, excuse me. And we also have some pretenders like Alabama. Alabama has really blown me away this year in the way that they can look so good with Montana Fouts in the circle and look so bad when she's not.
Yeah.
She's 17-7 on the season, and it seems like she has lost a few games, obviously, but it seems like she is everything for that team. Bama just doesn't seem very good outside of her pitching.
And I was going to say, when we get to our Val Cagle talk, which obviously we're going
Obviously, spoiler alert, that's coming up.
One woman can't win you a game in softball. Except for Montana Fouts.
Montana Fouts,
sometimes.
When
she
she
goes out there and throws
she's
a
got
perfect game.
3 or 4 perfect games. If they win a game in the NCAA tournament, it's going to be because Montana Fouts does a perfect game.
Yeah.
You can almost bank on that. At least a no-hitter to come for her. So we are seeing some teams start to shape into form. Certain teams we have questions that are still to be answered, like will Oklahoma be challenged?
No.
We gotta.
I'll answer that for you right now.
We're gonna have to wait and see the Oklahoma State series, but probably not. They play Baylor again. They get to avenge their one loss on the season this weekend.
There we go.
So we're gonna see who do we actually pay attention to come Women's College World Series, because it's all about beating Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I mean that Oklahoma State is just really what we're watching.
That's going to be the start of the softball season for a lot of people, because that is when it gets really good. One team that I at one point was very confident could beat Oklahoma is my Clemson Tigers. But I think this is a team that is very much in between contender and pretender and is dangling dangerously on the edge of those two. They won this week 2-0 against Winthrop. Don't make it look too easy, you guys. Don't hurt yourselves. That's not a super encouraging win. I don't know. I think they're probably the second best team in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they can pull it out against FSU in the tournament. But Clemson is going to be an interesting team. I'd like to see them make the College World Series, but do they have what it takes? I'm not so sure. And one of the frustrating things about their weaker team resume is that it's hurting Val Cagel's Player of the Year candidacy. I mentioned last week I've been having arguments on Reddit about this with people, and their only argument is that, Clemson hasn't played that well lately.
What do you want her to do about that?
I don't agree with, sometimes we don't really see it, but if there was a player who won an MVP on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, that doesn't really make sense. But I think Clemson will be a good team. They are a good team. And Val Cagle, what she's doing is it's historic. So let me read off some stats, some numbers for you all. This is my Val Cagle propaganda that I have to do every week. Her OPS is 1.597.
Yuck.
Fourth in the nation.
Yuck.
Fourth in the nation among all batters. Her 18 homers are tied for the most in the NCAA. Leads college softball with 18 homers in 131 at-bats. So she's got these numbers going across a lot of at-bats. Not the most, but a lot. And then in the circle, she has a .73 ERA and 134 innings pitched. Sub-1 ERA. While doing all that on offense, she has pitched 7 shutouts, tied for the 5th in the country. I put in my notes, show her Ohtani. She is doing everything for Clemson, and they need it. Yeah. They really need it.
And I mean, Ohtani won MVP without making the playoffs.
True.
Why can't Val?
See, it takes a generational player, but I think that's exactly what she is.
There we go.
It's so crazy what she's doing. Day in and day out.
Ridiculous.
Hitting and pitching. If you haven't seen her yet, you got to tune into a Clemson softball game because it's unreal. And in other news we do have some basketball news. Always, the offseason is always moving. We have some transfer
college free agency.
Yes, college free agency heating up. Our biggest news this week came from Celeste Taylor, who originally said she was going to come back to Duke for her 5th year, entered the portal, and is now headed to Ohio State. This kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I expected her to go to a program that was going to kind of round out her offensive skill, or her game, needed some offense to it. I think the strategy here is that she's going to be facing the best offenses in the country in the Big Ten, and she is just going to prove her worth straight defense.
Yeah.
Every team in the Big Ten is looking for their Caitlin Clark stopper right now. You have to have a guard who can at least hold her to 30. Every team needs that in the Big Ten, or you're just not going to win the Big Ten. And if you expect to compete nationally, you got to stop Paige Beckers. You got to stop AZ Fudd. You have to stop
herself.
Well, knock on wood, because hopefully that doesn't happen again. You're going to have to stop Anisha Morrow wherever she goes. So Haley Van Lith, wherever she ends up. Yeah. There are a lot of really good guards in college basketball. So a defensive guard is a hot commodity.
Yeah.
So Ohio State landed a big one with Celeste Taylor.
Mm-hmm. And we were begging for Duke, Iowa, just to watch that matchup. And now we're going to
Now
watch it a few times.
We're going to get it, yeah.
Let's go.
We're going to get a home-and-home series of Celeste Taylor versus Caitlin Clark. Just the best offense versus the best defense.
Yeah. And J.C. Sheldon, Cody McMahon, Celeste Taylor, that is a scary trio.
That is a really good.
I'll throw it out there. Ohio State, plus 2,000.
That might be something to
Think
sprinkle
about
right
it.
there. Plus 2,000 is interesting. Buckeyes are clearly loading up for a title run.
Yeah.
This is what they want. They know it's not going to come easy unless they get some defense. Another name I mentioned, Anissa Morrow, has narrowed her schools down to USC, LSU, and South Carolina.
Shocker.
Right, duh.
Shocker.
Like, I think USC has really stepped it up with the recruiting, and LSU and South Carolina were the two best teams in the country last year. So she wants to play for a title, clearly. And I think it would just be so unfair if South Carolina loses all those draft picks, all those all-world level players, and just picks up Diamond Miller 2.0, as I called it last week. Just Anissa Morrow just can do everything. And it would, Dawn Staley would be the one to, they don't rebuild, they reload.
Yeah.
And they're looking to reload if they can win.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by that USC pick.
Definitely.
They got a big class coming in with the number one recruit.
Yep.
You load up with Anissa Morrow, too. That could be a scary sight.
USC is going to compete. And it's just like, they're in LA, they have the brand, Cheryl Miller, they have the money. I think USC is just going to be competitive no matter what. They just got to put their focus on recruiting women's basketball.
Yeah. And are they going to the Big Ten?
Next year? I think this season will be their last season in the Pac-12.
Well, then the Pac-12, if they get Morrow, USC could be scary.
Definitely, because
especially with Stanford, whatever happened there.
Yeah, Stanford's kind of collapsing. Oh, Lauren Betts, I didn't even put it on here. Lauren Betts committed to UCLA.
Okay.
So that's going to be a big
matchup. Revenge game.
Yeah, Lauren Betts trying to take over the Pac-12 from outside of Stanford's program. So you got Kiki Rice, Charisma Osborne, Lauren Betts teaming up.
Oh my God.
USC is going to need some Anissa Morrow to compete with their rivals across town. Very interesting to see. I think a team from LA could definitely win the Pac-12 next year.
Oh, easily. Well, I really like that UCLA team, man.
UCLA is gonna be dirty. What else do we have?
Outside of that, the WNBA.
Oh yeah,
just signed a new deal to air Friday night games on Ion TV. Can't say
I'm familiar with that.
We also don't have cable though, so. Maybe this is a big channel on cable.
Hopefully, YouTube TV will pick up a little Ion television, whatever that is.
I mean, here's the thing, right? As the less you have to search to watch a game, the better.
Right.
So it's a good thing, I guess.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I don't know.
More games on TV, I guess.
Cool.
Let's go.
Walk off?
Let's hit that walk off. Shake it in here.
Hardcore.
How we doing?
Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Hello, Kate.
Hello.
So last week,
Yes.
Damon and I picked things up.
Mm-hmm.
Each of our picks hit. I'm not going to make fun of you. I think your pick was really solid. I really admire the pick. And Syracuse did lose. Just not to UNC.
Just, yeah.
So you were kind of half right, almost.
Cool.
Damon, Utah picked up a dub over Stanford.
Yeah.
Notre Dame won the series against Tech.
There
I
you go.
believe you have a statement on last week.
Yeah, I feel wrong for that pick. I do. I feel dirty. It was my first time looking at the softball board and like really feeling it out.
Right.
I really feel dirty for that one. Picking Utah
Utah
to win one game in a 3-game series doesn't feel good. So such a cop
Get a
out.
bold pick.
So here we go. I'm going. UNC's winning the ACC in women's lax.
Woo!
Sunday night. They got Syracuse on their side of the bracket. That doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of them.
Really? All
I got
right.
UNC coming out of the ACC.
I'm taking down the Eagles.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh.
I can't wait for that championship matchup. Taking the Heels to win the ACC again. I like that. I'm also going with the Lax pick. I think we get another upset before the regular season ends. Tomorrow, I've got Maryland taking home a share of the Big Ten regular season title with a win over Northwestern. I think it's going to be an absolute battle. It's going to be a lot of points. I like the Terps tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Lacrosse does not work for me.
I don't think anything does.
No, nothing. Wow. I'm gonna try softball this week. I was looking into it. I'm rocking with Florida State.
Okay.
They are number 5.
Okay.
And they're
Okay.
playing a number 14, so it's kind of cop out. But I'm having Florida State over number 14, Florida.
That's a ranked. I
Yeah.
like it. I'm rooting for you. I think
Thank
Florida,
you.
Florida State is a good team.
They are.
Saw them against Clemson. Florida also a really strong squad. So this is going to be a big interleague matchup to finish out the regular season. Big rivalry. Those are our picks. Do with them what you will. We are going into the postseason for lacrosse, and then we will be talking softball next week as things heat up there.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, go have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will